Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at the whiskeys and bourbons that I passed on in the month of January. Run the video. Alright then folks, thank you for joining us for another new and exciting episode here on the Whiskey Cove, where we will be looking at some really excellent, interesting and fun whiskies that I passed on in the month of January. Some of them I want to talk a little bit about, and I have questions for you folks at home, so if you're able to help me out, I would love some of your input on it. With that being said, we are trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and with that we will be giving away a bottle of Old Rip Van Winkle with 5 other bottles of whiskey. After this video, go down below in the link and the description of this video, and then hit the link and then make sure you put your ticket in. It's completely free of charge. You just need to be a subscriber and you need to submit your ticket. With that being said, we have, as always, the trusty laptop for today's video. So let's delve straight into it. And as you can see on the screen now, one of the first whiskies that we have here to talk about is the Rebel 6 for $29.97. This was at a video that I recently done at Costco. A lot of you folks commented on that video and said I probably should have paid the money and bought this. This is a wheated bourbon aged at least 6 years old. That is an incredible price. However, we're not really looking at buying some adjunct whiskey just right now, and that's why we passed on that. Also at the same Costco, they had this. This is the 291 barrel strength. This is from Colorado Springs. That is an excellent price because we see these here in Colorado at $100 at most liquor stores. So for coming in just a shade under $40, that's insane value for money. But for me personally, I'm not a big fan of the distillate. It's really crafty, a little funky as well, very heavy in the yeasty notes. So that's why we passed on this, but that's an incredible deal there. Also the new Knob Creek, this is the Bull Rye that they put out, and that's another really great price for just under $38. I haven't had this whiskey. We bought the 10-year rye last year. We bought the 7-year rye last year, but some folks on the channel have told me that this is also a pretty good bottle of whiskey, and maybe one that we should have picked up for that price. Next up, in 2 bottles I want to quickly talk about here. We did a review on the toasted rye on the channel not so long ago, and $65. I think that's a little high. I think if you're going to buy this whiskey, maybe pay around $55 for it. I think that's a very, very fair price. And then also to the right of it is the Remus Repeal for $130. So since a lot of the whiskey market has kind of slowed down a little bit, some of these Remus Repeals and the Gatsby's have kind of been a little bit more able, or you're a little bit more able to find them. So 2 good bottles of whiskeys, but not one I'm going to pick up. But something I am going to pick up, and someone who is the sponsor of today's video, that is ZBiotics. ZBiotics has been almost over a year sponsor of the Whiskey Cove here, and a lot of what we do by giveaways, whatnot, and some really fun stuff like this wouldn't be possible without them. So definitely support me by supporting my sponsors. What is ZBiotics? So ZBiotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic drink, and it's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's the blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So go down in the description, use my link for 15% off your first order. That also works on their subscription service. We also have a 100% money back guarantee, so if you're not satisfied for whatever reason, you can reach out to them there. Thank you so much to ZBiotics for sponsoring today's video and for working with us for as long as you have been doing. With that being said, let's get back into the video, and the next bottles up are Blue Run. So Blue Run, I didn't know this until recently, until I actually did a tour of Coors, that Blue Run is now owned by Coors. So if you're a big fan of Coors beer or whatnot, it is now owned by Blue Run. A lot of the stuff that Blue Run source generally comes from Bardstown, from what I hear, and then also as well then maybe some MGP stuff thrown in there. I don't know too much about Blue Run. It's always been a little high on the price tag for me. Even some of like the basic stuff is coming around $100, so that's why I passed on those. Some awesome whiskey here is this Old Forester Blue Label. So this is coming in at $90. It's a $10 high that I really like to pay for these Old Forester Blue Labels. However, the good thing is about this bottle, it is Warehouse K, which is known to be a pretty darn good warehouse from Old Forester, and floor 6, and also is above 130, 65% ABV. So you definitely, when you get these, you want to get them as high as the floors you can. I think the highest floors that they do is floor 8. So if you see one of these and it's floor 8, generally you should get the most flavor from those bottles, as they have the most, they kind of, all the whiskey goes in and out of the barrel the most, because it's quite hot at the top of those warehouses. However, for $90, I think that's a little steep. I think you can do better than that. I had one not so long ago that was K8, and I paid $80 for that, and it was 130 proof plus, which is kind of what you want to go. They also, some of them had the Dickel single barrel, the 15-year to the left, for $65, you know, for a 15-year whiskey. Yes, it's Dickel. It's still a pretty darn good price. If you do want to pick up one of those Dickel single barrels, try to aim for 50% ABV or 100 proof plus, because I do think that the 100 proof pluses are where the best value for money is and the most tastier whiskey there. Next up, and they also had a foolproof pick at this place for $65. And all these single barrels you've seen here are from Atlas Valley Wine and Spirits in Lafayette, Colorado. They have a lot of good picks, as you can see, another Elijah Craig one there, and a few other ones down in the bottom. But foolproof for $65, I don't think it's worth really $50 for me personally. I know there's some folks out there who really like this bottle, but for me, every one I've had is just drunk so hot. I was talking about that in a recent video that I did not so long ago. And here's two bottles we can talk a little bit about here. So some news and information that I've been receiving, and also some information you wonderful people at home has been commenting on my videos, is that Cooper Craft 100 might be going away. It kind of sounds like it might just be going back to Kentucky. So I actually would like to do a video on this, talking a little bit about it like we did with the early times video not so long ago. However, I'm kind of waiting to get some information back from Old Forester, from Cooper's Craft or Brown 41, and maybe give me a little bit of insight that I can share with you folks. So if they respond to my emails, then we'll definitely do a video on that. But if you're someone outside of Kentucky and you can find Cooper's Craft for about $30, I think you should probably pick up 2 or 3 bottles just to be on the safe side. And heck, even if it doesn't go away, you're stuck with 3 awesome, great value for money bottles of whiskey. Moving on, and these 2 XOs, I just took a picture of this one bottle here on the right specifically, and it's called the Sneakerhead blend, which I thought was quite amusing. $120, don't know too much about it. I know that that French oak one to the left of it with the red label for $50 is a great price, but the Sneakerhead blend, I wonder if anybody at home has had that and can tell me a little bit of information about that bottle. Never heard of it. But at the same store, and this store is called Highway 7 up in Thornton, Colorado, they had the Pappy 15, which I think they had last month. They also had this Window Jane, the Vaults, aged 50 years. So you can either pay $1,400 for the 15 Pappy Van Winkle, or you can pay $264 for this Window Jane. I see a lot of people posting kind of short reviews about these, and like posting pictures on Facebook saying that it's pretty good stuff. I've never really had any, so you know, I might want to kind of buy one and maybe do a review on it, but for that price, that's going to be a bit of a pass for me. Also, some other interesting bottles there too. And that Cowboy Bourbon is a hazmat one, and for $253, that's actually not a bad price. I think they might actually be able to get that price for that, because that is a hazmat bottle. And then a few other ones, some Penelope Estate, Penelope Valencia, and some other stuff, which is all kind of overpriced. Also, then we moved on over to the world's biggest liquor store, and we saw a nice $10,000 bottle of Macallan, as you can see here. I think they've had this for quite a while, because you know, it's not every day you find someone coming in off the street spending $10,000. So this is from 2018. It is 51.4% ABV and is one of only 237 bottles. So what is the age on this? So it's 1993 was when it was filled, and it looks like 2018 is when it was tapped. So what is that? 7 years, 25 years old at Macallan. I mean, 25 years old for $10,000. I mean, if you have the budget and you really like Macallan, then why not? I'll leave that up to you. And then we also saw another Widow Jane, excuse me, aged to perfection. This is finished in maple syrup barrels, which is really unique. And it has a good old ABV of 45.5%. I think if you're having a maple finish whiskey, I like the proof to be a little bit higher to help really cut through some of that sweetness. But like I said, I haven't tried this. It is sitting a little low for my liking. And again, $100. They sit quite high for pricing wise. So that's why we passed on that. Next up, and this was a whiskey that we were talking a little bit about in whiskeys to look out for. And this is the Ezra Brooks 99 there, the red label one to the left. And this is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished in port wine casks. This is going to be coming in at 49.5% ABV or 99 proof like the name suggests. And the price on that is going to be $33. We talk about this as a really great bottle if you're trying to get into a port finished whiskey. You've never had a finished whiskey before. Maybe this is going to be a good bottle for you as like an entry level. I'm not going to say that this is a good bottle because I haven't tasted it, but for $33 for a port finished, almost 100 proof whiskey, on the face of it sounds like a pretty good deal. So this is a bottle that I passed on, even though I said I was going to probably pick it up. I just have a lot of whiskey right now, and I have a lot of port finish whiskey, so we might have to circle back and get it. At the same store, they had these two Woodford Reserves, and lately I've been seeing a lot of these kind of limited Woodford Reserve bottles. So the one on the right is the Sonoma triple finish for 170, but the one on the left, they have a bunch there, was the double oaked by Woodford. And I don't know if you remember me talking about the Woodford double oaked. I said if I see it for $200, I'm going to pass on it, and pass I did, because I don't think the value was there for that bottle at that price, but that's my own personal opinion. And next, same at this store, and we've seen this bottle for a few months now. It is the Weller Millennium, on sale from $10,000 to $7,500. We're going to see, as I always mention in this video, we're going to keep checking in with this bottle. I would love for you to tell me down below in the comment section, folks, how long you think it will take for them to sell it, or do you think that they'll drop the price even more? I think they're going to drop the price to about $6,000, and I still think it won't sell. So I think maybe they might pull it or do something else with it, because no one's going to be paying that price. Also at the same store, they had the new Blood Oath for $150. I felt that was a little bit high. I think these Blood Oaths are supposed to be around $130. I probably wouldn't have bought it for that, because I don't really care for the Blood Oaths too much, in my humble opinion. At a different store, a smaller local store, they had a Caribou Crossing for $250, which is the most that I've ever seen a Caribou Crossing listed as. At the same store, no doubt, no surprise, I should say, $250 for a Taylor single barrel, and $170 for a Taylor small batch, and then $200 for a Weller 12. These bottles of whiskey are going to be sitting at this store for quite some time. They already built up a nice caking of dust. At a different store, question for you folks at home: who has tried Lucky 7? So Lucky 7, to my understanding, is a lot of MGP stuff, but they finish it in unique, different finishes. Like the one on the right is the Frenchman, they finished on French oak, and then the one in the middle is the Holiday Toast. That's a double oaked bottle, and I really like the ABV and proof on these. And then the one on the left is the Workhorse. It doesn't look like that's a finished one necessarily, like that one's a little lower ABV, but $49 ranging up to $87. I've been thinking about pulling the trigger on the Holiday Toast for a while. Let me know your thoughts down below in the description, folks. This is why I really like to do these videos, because when I ask you guys and you girls a question, you go down below and you kind of give me all you got in terms of what you know about the bottle. So I'd love to know what you think about these Lucky 7s. Also, as well, these are very old St. Nick's. These are Canadian whiskey that from years and years ago. I think some of this distillate is like 40, 50 years old. It's not as old. That's not how old the whiskey is. My understanding was that this distillery took the whiskey and kind of put it into like steel vats and just kind of held it for a very, very long time. Perseverance, I think. Preservation Distillery, that's it. That's what the name of this distillery is. And the woman who created this distillery got some of this old Canadian whiskey as it was, and then stopped the aging process by putting it in vats, and has slowly been releasing it in some of this bottles. Not the biggest fan of this stuff, just because a lot of it is Canadian. I think it might all be Canadian, and I don't like particularly Canadian whiskey, truth be told. At a different store, they have a few different offerings here. Midwinter Night's Dram, blackened, Old Forester 1924, and then the grained glass, which we've been seeing a lot from Heaven Hill. And as we just zoom in on the Old Forester, $130, which has come down quite a lot from like $20 last year. I kept seeing it for like 150, 155. I've been seeing a lot of Facebook posts actually that they've been having pallets of this stuff at Costco for $100. I think $100 is still a little high for this. Maybe if we can get it down to 75, 80 bucks, I think that's where it should sit at, especially if Old Forester are going to be putting out it all the time and in this much volume. Next up, and we saw more of the Woodford Reserve Double Oak, 200 bucks. Also saw there the Madeira Finish here at Daveco, and then for the Historic Barrel Proof for $146. So these are all 700 milliliter bottles, and again, I passed on all three of them, and I passed on the Woodford Double Oaked. A couple of bottles here, and there's a lot of talk about these bottles, and that is the Smoke Eye Hill. The barrel proof blue one is catching a lot of press by it being on top of Fred Mimick's Whiskies of the Year for 2024. He's saying that this is a George T. Stag Killer, and if I haven't put the review out already, I've just finished filming it, so you might see that after this video not so long, and we review it and see just if it is as good as he says it is, and if it is a George T. Stag Killer. But for 88 bucks, I think that was okay. There was a store in Colorado, Hazel's, that was selling it for one day only for like 67 bucks. So we picked it up there, so we passed on it this time around. Also here they had the Master's Keep for 400 bucks, which is too much money. This was at a store called Applejack's. They generally price their stuff up, almost feels like 25% more than a lot of stores. So I pass on a lot of stuff at this store. And this is a good example of it. Baker's 7 for $82, that's not worth it for that price. And then Elijah Craig 18 for, that's $196, but as soon as you walk out the door, you're gonna be probably paying closer to $220, and that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The same as the Sinatra for 200 plus there. And then lastly, at that same store, they had the Whistle Pig for $325. And a lot of what I will say about this, folks, these are good bottles of whiskey, but it's not worth paying $220 for Elijah Craig 18, because where the market is right now, we're going to be able to find these bottles of whiskey for reasonable prices. So if I want to pick one of these up, I probably just will hold off a little while, and I'll find one for $160, $170 right around where the MSRP is. I was talking more about the Elijah Craig 18 there. So some really excellent bottles of whiskey that we saw for the month of January. We passed on a lot of them. We just did a store haul, so you folks know some of the whiskey that I picked up too. With that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video. Definitely jump on in, go down in the description below and hit the link for the giveaway. You have to be a subscriber, and we will be announcing some bottles very shortly. Our next bottle is going to be at 8,000 subscribers. We're going to be having a bunch of awesome stuff, folks. So make sure you're a subscriber, go down in the link below, submit your entry, and thank you to ZBiotics for sponsoring today's video, for allowing us to be able to do these awesome raffles for you. With that being said, as we drink through the world's whiskies one glass at a time, cheers.